Greetings. In this episode, I want to present our new project called Project Global Officer. This is an initiative of the Defense Language and National Security Education Office, and the aim is to improve language skills, regional expertise, and intercultural communication skills of future military officers. We host the Project Go at the University of Florida, and this project is administered by the Institute of International Education, and the target is Army, Navy, and Air Force ROTC students at all universities across the nation. This project provides scholarship to all ROTC students when they are selected and admitted into the program to attend a fully funded 8-week intensive summer language program in one of our tracks, either Turkish or Swahili. Rose and I will be telling you about these two tracks in a bit later in this episode. The 2022 summer program, which is coming up, will be held at the University of Florida campus. The program will be offered at the beginning and intermediate levels and includes visits to prominent communities and cultural centers around the state of Florida, including Miami, Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tampa. The contact persons for these two tracks would be me for the Turkish track. I am Emrah Şahin. I am the coordinator of this program, and I'm also the senior lecturer in Turkish studies at the University of Florida Center for European Studies. And for the Swahili track, you can contact Rose Lugano, who is our senior lecturer in the Swahili program. So speaking of the Turkish program, Turkey is a traditionally important country connecting Europe and the United States to Central Asia and the Middle East. Likewise, it serves NATO as an active founding member and hosts two U.S. service branches strategically stationed in the Incirlik Air Base and the Izmir Air Station. For more information about these, you can go to our website that is cited in our description below this video. With the Project Global Officer Program, Turkish track, we like to offer the linguistic, social, and regional exposure and expertise necessary to recognize, navigate, and affect changes in that part of the world. And our program mission is P-R-O, that is prepare effective curriculums, recruit able students, and obtain desired outcomes. While practicing Turkish or Swahili in our programs, our funded ROTC students will also develop an in-depth understanding of Turkey and East African countries speaking Swahili and living the Kiswahili culture as an important and strategic country that they are. So speaking of Turkey, we like to emphasize that Turkey is a cradle of civilizations. Why Turkey matters to us starts with that. It is the home of ancient cultures, including the Greek and Mesopotamian cultures. If you're interested in classics, you will also remember from your classes that this is where Greek gods used to live. And later religious thoughts, you would also see that St. Mary's Temple is located in Izmir, which is in Turkey. Constantinople, or as Turks call it, Istanbul today, is a global city that has maintained that status moderately over time. And this is the country where you would see the growth and thriving of various empires, including the Byzantine Empire and the Ottoman Empire. So its location is strategic. And if you want to go to Turkey, this is the trip you would take. And if you are fond of computer games, you would also be familiar with Turkey. In those games like Age of Empires, you could pick the Ottoman army and civilization and develop from there. This is an empire turning into a republic with the will of its citizens. And since October 23rd, 1923, modern Turkey developed into a full-fledged Republican nation state. Today, there is a lot of people following the European pattern. You would see high population density across the nation. And today, you would see over 80 million people living in Turkey of various ethnic backgrounds, including Turks, Kurds, and you would also see other ethnic or religious groups speaking not just Turkey as its lingua franca, but also many other languages and dialects. Like I mentioned briefly in the introduction, Turkey is also an enthusiastic ally of the United States. So the landscape and people are rich and diverse. For instance, if you go to central Turkey, you would end up in an amazing place called Cappadocia, where you would see fairy chimneys and all kinds of attractions. If you go to Istanbul, that global city, you would be able to be mesmerized by the magnificence of historic structures and the diversity of people you would meet on the streets of Istanbul. If you want to go to Smyrna or Izmir, you would also see there some Roman and Christian remnants conversing with you. And another thing you shouldn't miss about Turkey and Turkish culture is definitely the cuisine. Turkish kitchen is very rich in terms of all kinds of pastries, kebabs, salads, yogurt, and baklava. And it is a synthetic kind of a cuisine in the sense that everything you know about food, you will have them in Turkey. They are just cooked in different ways and with different spices and tastes. So you will enjoy Turkish cuisine. And if you pick our Turkish track, you will have the fun of cooking together with our language and culture tutors who will be staying with you in a housing on campus. And you will also have your language partners and have this opportunity to speak about Turkish food and other forms of culture during the program. Some fun facts about Turkey may include, you believe or not, Santa Claus was born in Patara, Turkey. St. Nicholas is the real name. That great Renaissance character named Leonardo da Vinci once designed a bridge to connect Istanbul on the European side and on the Asian side. Some famous historical figures, including Aesop, Herodotus, and St. Paul the Apostle, they all lived in these lands. The longest word, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but you see it on our slide right here. It's a very long word. There's a pattern in Turkish that is easy to grasp after getting the basic rules, but here you will see all kinds of suffixes added to one single root, and the meaning changes because the suffixes include tenses and person and some moods. And another fun fact would be that you would probably see camels in movies taking place in Turkey, but the fact is that there's no camels native to Turkey. You can enjoy them at your holiday resorts, but that is not what Turkey is known for. So now we will see Rose telling you a little bit about the Swahili track. For now, I'll see you hopefully in summer. And if you have any questions or comments, go to the description below this video and connect with us. I will be happy to be in touch with you.
Hello, Jambo. My name is Rose Lugano, and I teach at the University of Florida. I teach Swahili and African literature. So I'm here to talk about Project Go, the Swahili Tract, and I'm welcoming you to East Africa. East Africa is where the language is spoken. It's spoken in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and all the other neighboring countries, especially because of what has been going on. A lot of people have migrated into refugee camps in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and when they go back, they take Swahili with them, including South Sudan, Somalia, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, and so on. Anyway, welcome to East Africa, the land of safari. It is the land that gave you the slogan, Hakuna Matata, which I'm sure you know. Hakuna Matata means no problems, no issues. So that's the slogan of East Africa. It's the land of the safari because you can come to East Africa and see the animals in the natural habitats, and also go and climb Mount Kenya or Mount Kilimanjaro if you want to develop some muscles. So East Africa is the place to come and visit. So apart from that, East Africa has a long history of visitors who have come to East Africa, beginning with the Arabs, the Chinese, Indians, the Portuguese, the Germans. So there are a lot of historical monuments. And also at the same time, we also have modern cities that are representative of what East Africa is today. So we have the big cities like Dar es Salaam, Nairobi, Mombasa, and so on, cities that are reflection of what is happening in the West too. At the same time, we have historical artifacts, even things that have been left by the former colonists. For example, the door you can see on the right is the influence of Arabic occupation of the East African coast. Swahili, as I've already pointed before, has had an influence, a lot of influence from other cultures. I mentioned the Arabs, the Indians also. You can see even because of those visits, Swahili culture and food has been influenced by these cultures. You can see the chapati, which is really originally from the Indians, but the East Africans have modified it in their own way. Then you can see the samosa. This is stuffed pastry with either vegetable or meat. This is also foreign. And then you can see spiced rice, which is pilau rice or pilaf, as it may be called in the Indian language, and so many other things that you can come and enjoy in East Africa. So the cuisine is rich from different cultures. Also, at the same time, we have different cultural practices that have influenced East Africa. You can see the henna application. That's a wedding custom that happens among the Swahilis themselves and other people because of Islam, and of course being influenced by Arabic and Indian cultures. And also we have a cloth that is called kanga, the cloth that speaks. It's used for non-verbal communication. For example, you want to talk to somebody without offending them by being verbal. So you just simply go to the store and ask for a kanga that is saying a certain thing that is closest to you. They would give it to you, and then you give it as a gift to the person you are talking to. Also, you can also see beaded sandals. That's where you get the original beaded sandals. There are also other crafts and paraphernalia from East Africa, which is bought as souvenirs by people who come to East Africa, especially the sculptures from wood and so on. Bye, kwaheri, karibu, welcome to Swahili.